Welcome back to season 2 of the French Rugby Podcast with me, Tim Groves, former France hooker Benjamin Kaiser, and ex-Scotland international and adopted Frenchman Johnny Beattie. They'd call it the difficult second album, tough second season, wouldn't they, in music and TV? So how do you feel, guys?
Johnny, come on. You're the guy who battles. You're the guy who literally we owe this to. So you might as well jump on and take a bit of credit. You pulled all the strings. You made sure that there was a proper platform to organize all this, but you put a hell of a lot of hard work into it. So go on, tell us.
I'm just delighted to be back, fellas. It's been 4 months, like you said, Tim, and I missed you both. And it's really cool that we are back on RugbyPass for this season, which is nice, big platform. So our reach will go a bit further. But look, I've been working for Premier Sports, but it's not the same not getting to debrief each weekend without you both. So missed you both. Good to see you both again and delighted to be back. Different platform, but the same old rodeo. And I don't think there'll be any second season syndrome. I'm just looking forward to getting stuck in and getting back into it.
Johnny said it, Benji, back on RugbyPass with the home of the top 14 Premier Sports behind us as well. So bigger than ever, yeah?
To be fair, we're also surfing on the fact that rugby with a crowd is just outstanding.
Yes.
And French rugby is just the pinnacle of all that. So, I mean, to be honest, I'm seeing a lot of people ask me, either on social media or whatever, whoever I bump into, they can't wait to see a bit of rugby. World Cup 2023 is getting more and more exciting. So I think there's also a vibe on it. I'm sorry to say it, boys. It's not only down to us, even though we're the best in the world. I'm not gonna. I wouldn't even question it. But listen, everybody's so delighted. Rugby's back. People are back in the stands. And if there's one championship, if there's one country that is the pinnacle of all that crazy, out of this world, passionate and just colorful type of rugby and style and proud of belonging, it's France. It's top 14. I mean, we've got a shit ton, part of my French, of stuff to speak about. Controversies, guys thinking about leaving, outstanding performances, some crazy stuff happening in the background already, just because it's the top 14 that we love.
And we will get into all of that. But first, we should fill everyone in on what you guys have been up to. So do we have to call you Master Kaiser now? And it was a big week for you last week.
Yes.
I wish. Listen, you were alluding to the fact that I got invited to a graduation of my Oxford Masters, my MBA that I'm finishing, before finishing 4 assignments. So listen, after the second week of this Masters, there was a matriculation. Everybody in Subfusk and all that. I thought I graduated that day. That was it. I was done. And then I realized there was 17 or 18 assignments to do. Oh my word, that was a proper mountain to climb. And so this one was actually quite a surprise. You graduate with your college, but because it's the business school, they do something at the end for the last class. They call it end of course ceremony, properly formal, but properly the good side of what England can bring. The traditions that we all love. It was cool. It was heartfelt. People are coming from all around the world to study their asses off during a pandemic. I know it was hard on everyone. Don't get me wrong. But when you got to handle studies and families and guys losing their jobs left, right, and center, we had people from Nigeria, from Houston, Texas, from Sydney, a chick who had class from midnight, 5 o'clock in the morning every time we were online. There's been some proper roller coasters in there. So it was great to have an excuse to chop 25 pints like we normally do, just because it's a class day. And my wife came up, and I was chuffed that she could be involved in it, because obviously she has a big role to play in the support system, because I've been basically away from the house pretty much all the time, and we've got 2 little ones. So the class is done. Assignments aren't. If anybody wants to chip in, if I have some PhD geniuses in there, please, I am happy for collaboration. But that is done, and at least more time at home and more time to move on to better and bigger and better things.
Nearly done, nearly graduated. And how about you, Johnny? Well rested, ready for a new season?
Well rested, mate. We had a great break. We got back from France to Scotland for the first time and caught up with everybody. Nobody even met our number 3, our little one, Finn. So it was great for him to get back. We spent, I think, 5 or 6 weeks back in Scotland, where strangely it was actually 25 or 26 degrees, where in the southwest of France, it was pissing it down with rain. So it was great to get back and see family. It was wonderful to introduce the little fella to his family that he had never met before. And hopefully, as Benji mentioned, that is potentially the best part of COVID behind us. Crowds are back, rugby's back, the world seems to be opening back up and things are back to normal. But it was a great summer break, and now looking forward, again, as Benji said, up and up we go, bigger and better, looking forward to this season and a new season of rugby.
Absolutely. It's great to be back. And as we mentioned, Premier Sports are on board with us this season. And as well as being the only place to watch live top 14 in the UK and Ireland from each and every round, it's also the place to watch every single minute from each game of the new United Rugby Championship. So watch the biggest names with all the games live on Premier Sports this season. Just check out premiersports.com to subscribe today from just $12.99 a month on Sky, Virgin, and the Premier Player. So a fair amount has changed since we last recorded the podcast. So we'll chat about some of that later on. But there's one thing that hasn't changed, and that's Toulouse. Can anyone beat them or what? They haven't lost a game since we last recorded, have they?
No, they're pretty outstanding. The thing is, you have to remember that during this summer break, France went to Australia with quite a rotated team. And so there was a lot of guys, including the current sort of world's best rugby player, that got arrested. And if there's a team like Toulouse who gets absolutely drenched by emails, when it's November test just to steal some players, it's them. So they flipped the coin for once. So basically they had the players that were not meant to be here usually, or at least a lot of them. And so they started really, really strong. On a side note, I'm really happy to see my mate Kimo, Team 99 Williams ripping it up. Just some utility back that's got raw talent. And that's also due to his talent, of course, but also to the scouting and the recruiting ability of Toulouse. Who were like, listen, this guy just takes and because he didn't have some fantastic seasons with us. And he's always been sort of pushed between 10 and 15 and winger and center and all that. But when they recognize talent, they seize it. And in their systems, he's ripping it up. So I'm chuffed for him.
And another addition, Johnny, Anthony Gelon.
And nothing's really changed. He's just grinding. The guy's an absolute man beast. And I think as well, the nature of the teams they've beaten already, like to ram it down their throat even further, they beat La Rochelle in La Rochelle, the opening game of the season. Massive statement. They hammered Toulon. They won away to Montpellier. They've beaten Clermont, away to Biarritz, the new boys. And their poorest game of the season was against Pau at the weekend, where they didn't play well, but sign of any great side, they just keep churning out wins. And Anthony Gelon, again, another shout for the captaincy in the autumn internationals. Just an absolute freak. Keeps on grinding, keeps on performing. Benji still's a man crush on him because he is just that good. And like you said, Tim Nana Wynnum stepped up as well. And they've just been exceptional every single game. So they've just become better and better. And again, they are the team to beat because they are just that good.
And I mean, I don't want to bring some statistics into this game because I don't believe in them, but I just bumped into this one on Twitter.
Is this coming from Oxford or Cambridge? Or
no. This is nothing to do with that. This is a completely selfless or interested plug. So that Opta, if they want to sponsor us, just give us a shout. Because basically Opta Johnny, whatever that means, just says that Toulouse Antoine Dupont beat 10 defenders this weekend, more than any other player in top 14. He's the only scrum master to have beaten them, and he's the only one who's beaten more than 10 defenders in top 15 over the last 10 seasons. And he's done this 3 times. So, I mean, he's just, whenever you think that he's done, then they start an average normal season and he's ripping it up. And he came against Burrs. He flipped the game around pretty much on his own. 2 plays, one dummy and go, and one set up a beautiful cross for Kimo 99 Williams. And the rest of the time, he's just, he is scary.
A couple of weeks ago, he was named top 14 player of the year for last season. About the easiest award you could give, isn't it?
You got to be honest. I mean, look, you give me a quarter of one of those awards and I would have been celebrating somewhere. And he's just racking them up. And he seems like he's got the right balance between not arrogance, but sort of self-confidence. He needs to back himself, right? To test all those things. He has to have a big set of nuts, but also a huge amount of confidence on him. But on top of that, there's also the risk of, getting too big-headed, getting too interested by the individual rewards, getting too, psyched up by Aaron Smith calling him the best player in the world. That's a pretty big statement, which in my mind is a bit of a mind game also, thinking about the November test and the 8th of September, whatever it is, the opener of the World Cup, 1,000%. But that's really cleverly done. And you're trying to play with him to see, listen, not only is he big, but let's see if he can slip up if he thinks he's too big for his boots. And he's keeping the tempo, keeping the rhythm. And that's very impressive at such a young age.
Well, they're still very much the team to beat in European rugby at the moment. And who better to get on the podcast to kick off a brand new season than a man who crops up just about every week when we have other guests on, and who took his legendary status to a new level at the end of last season, the King of Toulouse, Big Joe Tekori joins us. How are you, Joe?
Oh, Joey Johnson. Oh, good. Thank you. Thanks, team. It's been a long time, eh, Johnny?
A long time, mate. With COVID, we haven't even seen anyone, so good to be able to catch you. It's not as good as catching you properly in the person, be able to have a beer, but this will do.
For this symbolic, last time I played with Joe, I was called up with the English Babas, his second club, because he's the only guy that got called up 12 times or something. He's pretty much vice president of the Babas. And when he didn't get called up because Toulouse, I can't remember what you guys did, but whatever, you did well in top 14 and you were in Barcelona somewhere, obviously because you organized a trip. And then somebody flipped my mate couldn't play because of his passport. And Big Joe rocks up. Hey, the guy's been on the piss for 10 days non-stop post-season and rocks up in the Babas. I was like, mate, I was so happy to see you. You're still a champion.
I just arrived in Toulouse. The bus bring us back to Toulouse and bad bragging. Look, we can't play. What's the name?
Flip.
Because it's a problem passport in it. Can you jump on a plane and you come to play? I was still tired, fatigued.
Yeah, you still fatigued. You're still best mates with all the bouncers after 2 nights, mate. You still took us absolutely everywhere. You still did your usual stuff, mate. You're a legend.
It's the environment's better, you know. Yeah.
We might come on to that trip and some celebrations later, Joe, but just talk us through the start of this season, because I know you've only played in 1 game so far, but 6 from 6, Toulouse still rocking up every week. What did Hugo Moller say in pre-season? Because it can be tough to go again, can't it?
After the championship, they let us have 6 weeks spent with your family, and when we come back to the job, we just done the job, do the homework, everything like that. And we started all the games. But the boys been playing well on the last 6 weeks. Yeah, 6 for 6 now. And then last week, especially last week, I have a red card. I was too excited to play and come back. And I was after the hit. And then I stayed with me down, and I say, "Oh, you okay? Sorry." He said his knee, and I said, "Oh, I say sorry to him." But I hope we continue like this.
You talked about the young guys. Talk to me about your man Kimo, Tim 99 Williams. First question. How is he? Second question. Did you manage to sign him in Toulouse personally, or is that Hugo Mola asking you for your advice?
No, Toulouse has been looking at Timo after the World Cup on 2015 in England. Hugo's been speak to me about Timo. He said, "You think a team want to come to us because he can cover anywhere in the backs?" And then Timo say, they had a good relationship with some boys in Clermont, like George Moala and all those foreign boys, and then he came here. It's way different. They say, "Oh, I can play my rugby," and you know Timo. You play with Timo in Clermont, but yeah, he's very happy here. He's a very good player, but you got confidence on him because he can cover anywhere at the backs. He played 10, 12, wing and fullback. Yeah. But it's good for us when Cheslin leave too.
Mate, you mentioned right at the start, you talked a little bit about the environment and what everyone's trying to do at Toulouse. But whenever that comes up and the question of environment comes up at Toulouse, inevitably you're at the center of that. In terms of being part of the culture, how things are led and done at Toulouse, but also as like a papa of the group. You know, people can come to you and speak to you or for advice. I want to ask you, how do you enjoy that role? Because everybody that we talk about, when we ask about Toulouse, they say Joe Tekori, they say you're the center of it. How do you enjoy that role?
If we're happy off the field, we'll be happy on the field. We do something all together, and this is my things for the boys. Our World Cup, our first Heineken Cup, when we come back to play for the Heineken Cup, when we in Puff. It's we play at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, but we always have that walk early in the morning, activation or something like that to wake you up. We still want to sleep, and we have our secret, before all the Heineken Cup, we have our secret things with the team, because that game, pretty much the president was saying, "Oh, how to get up the pressure, Joe?" He asked me into the room. Do you know what? We just do a one beer all together in the team room, and then like relax and like, "Oh, are you sure?" I said, "Yeah." We just call a president's beer. We just call a beer of the president, and the president. Okay, we try this, and now from that game on in Puff, from there every European Cup game, the night before we had a beer of the president. Before, that's our secret, you know. Nah, it's like it's good, like for get out of pressure of your, you know.
You got the secret there. You got the secret. There's no point having Antoine Dupont and Romain Tamac in your team. You just need to let Joe create the beer of the president pre-match ritual. Done. If only I knew. If only I thought about it. Fair play to the president to letting you do it, to be honest. Fair play to him, you know, to say that's a good idea. Let's try it. No, man, honestly, that means they trust you. That means they trust you, but they have confidence in the players. It's good.
Just a secret agent, you know. We do that every day, in Kasi.
Let's rewind, Joe, to those celebrations at the end of last season, because they were pretty legendary.
Yeah.
You took a couple of souvenirs from the top 14 in the Champions Cup final. Where are the corner flags now? That's what everyone wants to know. Where are those corner flags?
I think it's not. I'm in the house, but I think Ben, you know where it is. You know, it's in my garage. The secret garage.
I spent more time in Joe's garage in Cass than I did on the training field, I think. It was we were there 24/7, mate. But to be fair, whenever you say Joe, never take away your wife, Helen, and your kids and stuff. But it's this whole family thing. Everybody's always invited. It was like an open house for all. That's what made it brilliant.
Well, yeah, you know, Ben, like you know me, like I said before, like you know, I want to keep everybody together, like all the players. You see what I do, like when there is young boys grow up, like you know, they can do my experience to do with put all together the boys, your family. We have a barbecue together with family before the season start. We meet with a new wife of the new players, you know. We like put bouncy castle for the kids to play all together. Like I think Tim know, because when he came, I said, "Oh, are you guys doing this?" "Yeah, we do this in Toulouse for welcome you guys. We need to know each other. You're new, your wife, you need to know the other boy's wife, you know, the girlfriends. But it is us on the field too. If we together off the field, on the field we do the game all together. As simple as that.
Did the garage see some action after the top 14 final last season, Joe? Was the garage the place to be, or was it more the beach club? Because we had a few players on, and the celebration sounded good. Talk us through them.
The guy at the beach, like, he's a massive fan of Toulouse, you know. Just like invite, I'm sure he invite the whole team to come. It's about 2 hours to drive, and then we just enjoy and celebrate. But from the day one after the final, I think I finished with the first day. I was too tired to take all those corner flags. It's a good souvenir, you know.
So, mate, how long did the celebrations actually go on for? So you've got your corner flags, you're in the bar, you're at beach bars, you're back at your garage.
Yeah,
but it must have lasted a couple of weeks. How long did it last, and how much fun did you have together?
Honestly, Johnny, I can't even remember. Only thing I remember, my wife was saying, "Oh, did you know this is the third day? Second day? Are you gonna
the third week?
You're gonna go again?" Because when we arrive from England, we have a night with the whole family and all the people in the club. And then the next morning they invite us in the beach. And then the next day we do the train thing, all the bars in. There's like a court bar in Toulouse. I didn't make it, to that training. Because if I go, me and my family's holiday, it's not happening. We're gonna go before that. We leave the next day. I say, oh no, that's three nights is good.
This is a big shock from everything that everyone has told us, Joe. You're always the last man standing, and you're saying you went home early. So who was still there? Who was leading the charge?
No, I think Charlie Van Wiener. Yeah, he's been looking after all the boys. You know, I was like, he dropped me home with him and one of my Samoan young boy. He dropped me home. He said I was like, not even staying on the restaurant. Like I say, oh, thank you. Next day I say, oh, thank you, Charlie and Money, for dropping me at home.
How long do you think you're gonna play for? Is this the last one? Are you gonna go for one more? What do you think?
Yeah, thanks for that. But it's been hard now because the Brazilians been asking me and my family, well, what do you do? You want to go back to Samoa, or pretty much the club, they are good to me and my family. Like they want to stay, or I say to them, my body is still on form. Like I want to keep playing. And as soon as the body say no, it's stop. But I got this is my last season, and the core is if you want to stay to help the boys stay around the staff and the club, or if you want to play, I say, oh yeah, I want to keep playing. I don't want to say. For me, I don't want to say that I'm stopped now, because I can still feel my body. I just listen to my body. If you say no, it's finished. But we see how this season go. Not a good start with the red card.
None of us will be surprised if we see the headline: Joe Tekori signs a new 2-year contract in the next couple of weeks.
Well, I hope so.
I was going to say, Joe, you're a year or two older than Johnny and Benji, so either of you two fancy a comeback or what?
Oh,
mate.
Come on, mate.
No,
Johnny.
Have you seen the flipping size of him? That's why his body's not telling me anything. He's bigger than anybody. He's man mountain. Of course he can.
Well, I never do in gym, Ben. You just.
I know. You just look at weights. You just look at weights and you get bigger. The guy is just a freak. No comeback for me. No comeback for me, Johnny.
No, mate. And then the pair of us having to try and gym and do weights to try and keep up with people like Joe. Now it's been 2 years. Like my dad bod is in full flow. I can't let this go now. There's no way this can get back into rugby environment. Absolutely not. So no, 100% retired, happy. And yeah, I wish I could have gone as long as Big Joe, but it's not to be. I was going to ask you about one of the other boys that's transitioned into coaching with Toulouse. Another man that would have been a massive influence in his playing days. How's Coach Kano getting on in his first year? Is he settled in well? Is he enjoying it?
Yeah, he's still. I can tell he still want to be around with us, like but he's doing his our ESPO, our second team. He's doing well at the moment, but we pretty much we missed him. He's helping a lot. Last 3 years, he's been in Toulouse in training. Like he always encourage the boys, helping the boys, like all those little things, like the rocker. But he's doing our ESPO at the moment, but he's always come chat with us when he's finished his training with the ESPO. But he's in our top side too, to doing our rock and part of the defense. But we miss him.
Jerome finished at the end of last season. Another man who left after playing a massive role last season was Cheslin Kolby, and obviously a lot of headlines around that move to Toulon. When did you guys as players find out about it, and how did it all kind of transpire?
Yeah, it was pretty like sad, like for hearing like we didn't say goodbye to to Cheslin. He's just a good man and his family. When we had training, and then we got the message everybody's on the team room. The president needs to speak something, and the president needs to announce Cheslin is going to leave us. We didn't know anything. We see something on the, but we're not sure yet. But when the president announced Cheslin's leaving, and then all the boys like, we said we don't say goodbye to him, but nothing like we know him. He's just a good man. Yeah, and we respect him. This is this is his life. But we miss him, and we keep. I say to we keep working and continue. Cheslin's doing his life, and for us we just continue. We know it's sad, but ça arrive. Comme tu dis en français, ça arrive.
C'est la vie. C'est la vie.
C'est la vie. Ouais. On pas tâcher la vie est pas tâche. Hein? Ouais, c'est comme ça.
C'est comme ça.
And have you spoken to Cheslin since, or are you just looking forward to catching up when you head down to Toulon?
Yeah, he's still on one of our group. I'll just call like our USO group. He's still in our group, and then he was when he left on the group, like all our groups. He say, "Merci later. Miss you guys." I was gonna leave our group. Yeah, but yeah, we still chat with him on Instagram, for this, but in the group, those.
Sad to see Cheslin leave, but back to happier times and back to the end of last season. I wanted to ask you: you've won the top 14 before with Cast as well as Toulouse, obviously doing the double last season. How did it compare? Did that top anything you've achieved?
It's phenomenal. Like I never win a Heineken Cup. When in Cast, I win 2013 and Cast in the top 14. In Toulouse 2 times. With this is amazing, and it's a pleasure. And God bless for all those things being for me in my rugby life. Hopefully, it's not finished soon, but it's a place. And how many you win, Ben? How many?
I win top 14. No.
Very sensitive subject.
Considering you for my last game, you beat me in the final, Joe. I would appreciate if you would pipe down a little bit.
I'm sorry about that.
Because you didn't say sorry. You weren't sorry. You didn't say any of that. You did your big usual self, give me a big bear hug, squeezing me, breaking me 3 bones in my back. But other than that, you didn't say sorry.
I thought you won in Stade Français.
I won it with Stade Français and with Clermont, 2007, 2017. Okay. I won it twice. I was lucky.
Here we go.
But but doing the double is something absolutely incredible. You have to have the resilience to keep on going back at it. After winning the back-to-back sort of top 14s in a very complicated environment, technically losing a semi-final of Heineken Cup 7 months before. So it's almost in the same season, So it's really hard to get back up with a couple of injuries, with guys rotating, under the pouring amount of rain, which normally would have been in favor of La Rochelle and not so much in favor of Toulouse. And in the end, you guys pulled it. So it seemed that any day, any moment, you guys could beat any team in a repetitive basis. So I must say I was really, hands down, very impressed with everything you've done. It's such an extraordinary, just an incredible achievement.
Thank you, Billy.
And Benji, you mentioned being on the opposite side to Joe, which was probably not a pleasant experience.
No,
but obviously much happier times in the bars and nights in his dairy.
That's a different name. That's different.
That's very different. No, to be honest, I played in Castres with Joe for a year, and in a moment where my confidence was properly down, and I just wanted to play rugby for a year and have fun. And Big Joe and his wife Fennel, obviously, but also Chris Massoui and all those guys and Roman Caban. There were some really, really good fellas in that cast team that year, and I really enjoyed it. And me and Joe got close because
Max
because he would open his house all the time. But no, the funniest moment, Joe, I don't know if you remember, there was this tiny little center, you talk about centers, called Thomas Sanchou, who was probably the smallest center from Albi you could find, but he was a proper joker. He would throw bans at everyone, anytime, any moment. And I always remember being outside a bar, and Thomas Sanchu was mouthing off a guy because he had a funny shirt, and he was just giving him, c'est pas ta chemise, c'est celle à carreaux. It's a French joke that's bloody stupid, but because carreau means Caroline, and when you have sort of squared shirt, checks. You say it's not yours, it's a carreau one. It's a, checks. It's not yours, it's checks. And things got a little bit heated, whatever. And Big Joe out of nowhere comes out of the nightclub. He ends up being just behind Thomas Sanchu. And the guy turns around and goes, "Hey, you, I'm gonna fuck you up, whatever." And then Joe just turns and goes, "Qui, moi?" And then you see the guy, no, I'm not the other one. I swear, I was crying my eyes out. Big Joe you should have seen that face, just go, "Qui, moi?" And then he goes, no. But Joe almost laughing that a guy could potentially even point at him, say, "I'm gonna knock you out. What have you done?" And that was a year of Joe. That's how he was. There was never a problem because he would just pick people like, "Calm down, come on. We're all here to party. We're all here to have a good time." Silly, so only fun and games.
Lot of memories, eh? Lot of memories.
Only fun and games.
You're not allowed to answer Benji to this question, Joe, but everyone tells us about your status on a night out. Benji's alluded to it there with various examples of being out with you in clubs and in your garage, wherever. We know you go long and you go hard on a night out. So who do you want with you? If you can pick one teammate, one player you've played with or against in your career on a night out to share with you, who's a good drinker?
No, pretty much I was going to say Massey, Massey's worst drinker ever. I don't know, that's too much Buffalo Goose. They've been, I don't know, it's a one-man stand. Well, pretty much it's Ben, even because you're not drinking, you're chilling sometimes. You're Buffalo, but you're Buffalo your water.
All my ruses. I had to all my tricks and all my ruses. When you're trying to fight against a one-man piano, then I had to play a bit of smarts in there, of course.
That's tipping.
We talk now. Now we talk.
And who was it that told us? Was it Zach Holmes? I can't remember. Who was it told us last year that Joe's kryptonite was a G&T? You don't like a gin and tonic?
Yeah. Zach say that? Zach.
I think it was that.
Zach. Yeah, it's a lot of nights we've been doing, and there's one night. It was our Christmas party with our families, and and me and Zach we always have those suits, like the Christmas jumper, like Christmas suit. And then we started Coronas, beer would say like for starter, and then we on the table.
For starter.
We on the table, like drink wine and, dinner with the families and like your wife and your partners. And then in the end, at the end, we don't have a dessert or so, we just go straight to the gin tonic. We split all like 3 or 4 bottles, and then pretty much Zaki say I drank from the bottle on the gin. I was like, they remember, and some of the young boys, they would put me in the car, and my wife was like, "Oh, did you remember what you done?" I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry." I was still saying Merry Christmas. I was gone, and then Zach was. I think he killed me that night. Zach. I don't know if I was drinking that bottle by myself, or he helped me, or just drink water watching me.
Man, I'm pretty sure you drank yourself for that one. But hey, come on, Tim. Let's not try to paint Joe as the guy who drinks Monday to Sunday. He's just a very, very good social, life of the party type of dude. But it's more for others than for him. And you're still rocking it on the field, mate. So as long as the body doesn't say stop, you just keep on moving that big tree trunk of a body that you've got. Keep on supporting. Imagine scrummaging myself against Charlie Farmuina, who's got then Joe just behind him. It's no fun, It's no fun. It's two animals, and they speak in Samoan together. Come on, Uso, come on, let's go. Yeah. Alofa, aku, yeah, alofa, let's go. Oh my word.
I find on Heineken Cup when Richie was injured, and it was Hugo looking at the bench. It's me and Tipo. I was like, Sean Bouillou was saying, Joe, go warm up. And then I go warm up, and then I was not sure I'm gonna go on because Tipo Flum was his warm up too, and then I go on. I said, honestly, me and Charlie was just fucked again. At my first 10 minutes, like the game was too fast, and I said to Charlie, well, just like like you say, they speak Samoa. They say, come on, for the scrum and all those stuff. Because in the other side of the other lounge outside is like Wingy and Skelton.
Will Skelton.
Willie and Wingy, which is been talking Samoa with them on the field. When you do the scrum, I can hear Wingy say, also, come down, slow down. Let us win this scrum. I say, bro, that's the finals.
There's always this thing, it really cracks me up. You always see sort of Samoans between each other, or just even Pacific Islanders together. I remember playing a game against Toulouse, Joe, and remember Lonnie Wheeler. He slapped somebody around the head. But instead of getting angry, you actually cuddle him because you thought it was hilarious. So the two of you just ended up looking at each other. Any other team would have gone bust. There a couple of weeks ago, there was Clermont against La Rochelle. There's a little fight, and Wingy catches Fritz Lee, and the two of them are just hugging each other, just looking at them. You know, when you're that big, when you're that powerful, you don't go for the little scraps. Either you go full tilt or you don't go at all, and the rest is just peace and love and stay happy. And it cracks me up.
No, with Massey and Jerry Golden. Where one game in class we play with Massey, and Jerry was in Toulon. They barely. I know we also here on the field. We're not also. They were like hitting each other, like
Really.
And then after the game, I was like, "Shh, give me a kiss," They always do that. And Massey's favorite words, also is "kill or be killed." And Massey and Jerry, and then after they on the field, those two they like hitting each other, like, and then after they enjoy a couple of beers and hugging each other.
I don't know what your secret is to your longevity, Joe, but 38 in December, still going strong. We're fully expecting that 2-year contract to be signed in the coming weeks. We look forward to watching you for years to come. And congratulations on last season.
Thank you very much. The age just a number. You know what I mean?
Steer clear of those gin and tonics, Joe, and you'll get another contract.
It's a change now. It's a real wine now.
Red wine.
Yeah.
That's
one bottle a night.
There you go. That's the secret.
Full of antioxidants. It's very good. The doctor says. It is very good.
It's the best now. Real wine. The doctor said the real wine is the best for recovery.
You heard it here first. Cheers, Joe. Thanks for coming on.
Cheers, you're a legend,
cheers,
Joe.
Johnny.
Thanks, mate.
I think you realize how big a dude is when every time he hits his hand on his office, you see the whole house is shivering.
Like my house was going to take off.
There's an earthquake every time he just speaks. He's an absolute man mountain. To be honest, let's make sure people don't come out of this, Tim, by thinking that he drinks gin and tonic 24/7.
Mate, it wasn't even gin and tonic. It turned out to be a bottle of gin. Like there wasn't even tonic. It was gin and tonic. Hold the tonic. So I ended up drinking 2 bottles of gin.
And we mentioned it with Joe. 38 in December he is. I mean, incredible, isn't it? That he's still going strong. Older than you two.
Yeah, well, when I played with him, he was an aspiring number 8, right? He was as big as he is now, but I wanted to play number 8. But then it took him a while to sort of accept that he definitely has the power. He's got the handling ability. He's got the tackling, the defense, whatever you want. But you just needed 8 that moved more. And then he was smart enough to then commit to the second row, to start loving scrummaging, and he's being loved by all the props. It's not one thing. It's one thing to be big. It's a different thing to be good in the scrum. Trust me. and he's renownedly extraordinarily good in the scrum. So it's not just that he's good. He is by a mile the best that people have seen because of his attitude, because he loves the boys, because he wants to contribute, because he's always the heart and soul of a team. And what I love about him is that, listen, he's won 2 Brennus and a Champions Cup in the last 2 years. He is definitely renowned for being such a good club man, top man, papa du club, whatever you want to call it. Everybody's praising him. And then you speak about him and 4 seconds later, he's speaking about somebody else. Yeah. He just dodges the bullet nonstop. But yeah, it's a number. Ooh la la, the final was really tough. Yeah, they won it. Ooh la la, it was so fast, you know. Yeah, well, he smashed everyone. Ooh la la, I couldn't last for long. Yes, because he doesn't sleep for 4 days. And then he went, oh, I had to go to sleep because I was so bad. You know, it's just, he's mega humble, plays down everything just because he's got a massive heart. And that's the way that he contributes to a team. It's just to be the cement in everybody. You need somebody at the back of a bus. You need somebody to lead the charge on the field, off the field. And he's definitely, for me, the core of the success of this Toulouse side.
And interesting to hear Joe talk about Cheslin Kolby's departure, how sad it was. They didn't really find out about it until very late. Obviously, he mentioned the words that Cheslin put out there publicly, and I'm sure privately as well, the emotion. But was it all about money, that move, or what was behind it?
Well, I think the motivation's in 2 clubs. Firstly, I think Toulouse have thought, well, if actually we can make a buck on this, I mean, they've got some outstanding, as much as Cheslin is a phenomenon, one of the best players in the world, Toulouse actually themselves have some fantastic young back 3 talent. So they've backed themselves, they've taken the check for the transaction, and they can look to move forward and resource other areas. And look, absolutely, Toulon are desperate because things aren't going right. So they're looking to buy in success because they have not started well. And 100%, it's purely financial. And we've got no idea for the financials for Cheslin, but the background of the deal, it's suited to Toulouse. Toulon wanted it to happen, and it's happened. And a lot was actually written in the French media about Cheslin, but I don't think he's the guy to be judged in all this. I think that the 2 clubs, it's a transaction. It's a football transfer between 2 clubs that have activated the transfer market. They've wanted something to happen, and it's gone through.
So I've got absolutely zero information in this, but I was looking at the fact that he's represented by
Rock Nation.
By Rock Nation, right? Who then takes Maru Itoje, Sia Kolisi, and Cheslin Kolby, 3 absolute world superstars at the moment, who represent a huge amount of more than just rugby players,
like Jay-Z and media. They're massive.
So obviously this is backed by Jay-Z. So I have a feeling that he's become a symbol of this sport. He's become also a symbol of performance and able to get out from any bad situation, like born in South Africa, like Sia Kolisi can represent. He's a symbol of hope. He's a symbol of Mary Tucker Chaketik, I don't know how you say it, but success. And I have a feeling that maybe he got represented by people who then wanted more and wanted that status, and deservedly be. And Toulouse probably were not the club who had the financial stability or ambition or resources to give him that. And then all those conversations start happening, and then there's like, listen, it's not that I don't like Toulouse, it's that potentially I'm a little bit my how do you say that? My situation isn't exactly how it should be. Well, let's get ourselves around the table. There's a huge check for Toulouse after 2 years of pandemic. Toulouse are not a millionaire-backed club. They're one of the clubs that were their main sponsors were Airbus. Airbus, I told you from the start, did particularly poorly during the pandemic. So they were really, really struggling. And the only reason why Toulouse are not completely bankrupt is because they've won so many titles. Otherwise, they would be completely gone they were one of the first clubs to were in serious financial jeopardy. So you can't blame the player for trying, to get, I don't know, something sort of equivalent to his mega superstar, even more than rugby status that he has gained. And there's probably 1 or 2 for each generation. There's Sébastien Chabal, Fred Michalak in my generation, and then that's it. Because you don't really get out of the ecosystem of rugby that easy. And on top of that, you can't really blame Toulouse for being, listen, we love the bloke. He's obviously outstandingly extraordinary for them. But at the same time, having a big check coming this way at this moment, it's pretty attractive.
Kolbe wasn't the only big name to move clubs in the summer in the top 14. Any of the others that stand out, and how are they getting on?
So Biarritz obviously went up late, had to do a little bit of last minute reshuffling and recruitment. They brought in Elliot Dixon, Kurandrani from Australia, who they really started with a bang, performed really well. At home, things are starting to slow down a little bit for them. Lua Mape as well, big signing for Stade Francais after they lost Gail Fiku and Jonathan Dante in the interseason, but they've not really functioned well as a team. So it's hard for him as a 12-13 to be the phenomenon that we have all seen in Super Rugby and for the All Blacks. But look, there's more and more transfer rumours circling around the top 14. It's getting crazier and crazier and earlier, it seems. And it's just been mayhem, coaches and players so far. The merry-go-round that seems to have already started. I'm not sure who you've seen, Benji, but it just seems to get earlier every single year.
I just saw the Bordeaux president getting really pissed off because basically his crown jewel, Mathieu Jalibert, apparently is in the radar. Well, not apparently, he's definitely on the radar. Every single club, probably in Europe, who's got the financial capacity to attract such a player. But then there's the reality also that I think he's under contract until 2023.
Yeah.
So they were starting to say Finn Russell might move and he might go to racing and X, Y, and Z. And then Laurent Marty, the president of Bordeaux, got seriously pissed off about saying, listen, if we start, like you said, if it gets that early, then you never know what it can do, especially to some young players, however level-headed they are. It's just not healthy. But then I heard that he came out on the press the other day that he's basically he basically said that there was no chance that he was going to move until 2023 and that he was going to go to the end of the contract. He's definitely one of the guys that is going to be, if you want such a big hitter, it's not 6 months before. It's 2 years before you try. They're going to, try their luck in June. You never know, because of the economy of Bordeaux, they might accept a check again, or, you start building that relationship and making sure that that you're absolutely there. But then, like Johnny said, if it gets that early and that crazy, I don't think it's particularly healthy, to be fair.
And it's also the message it sends out for the club. So, right, Christophe Urios, who's there, who's also at the end of his contract, he will essentially be dictated to by the decision that Laurent Marty, the president, takes. If Laurent Marty says this club is a club that's willing to sell Mathieu Jalibert, age 22, potentially the brightest 10 prospect in the country at the minute, rivaling Intermac for that number 10 spot for the French jersey, well, Urios is going to hold his hands up and say, well, I'm off. Like, I'm at the end of my contract. What do I want to be here if the players aren't going to stay? And again, all the coaches are under pressure already. Gonzalo Caseda at Stade Francais, big win for them again at the weekend. Patrice Colazo at Toulon, they were booed and whistled after they won at home to Brive at the weekend, like not a happy camp. So look, there's all this churn that's going to start. And again, to be 2 years out of contract, it just shows how important these guys are now, Benji, these young French kids that are incredible talents. Because I think 3-4 seasons ago, you would have brought in like a Dan Carter or an Andre Pollard, or a foreigner would have stepped in. But now the importance of these young French kids being quality and being gif has a currency that just can't be replaced in the top 14. That's why they're so important. And look, there's been some guys that have already announced that leaving. Camille Lopez looking to get back down to Southwest, resigning for Biarritz potentially. You got Antoine Astoy has already announced that he's leaving Pau at the end of the season. Like, we're 6 games in, and they're already leaving. Your mate Para potentially moving. Stade Francais, rumours about him potentially to Stade Francais. Vazea has already left Stade Francais. He's going to Toulon next year, the Fijian powerhouse. So look, it's never ending. Anthony Bello potentially moving from Toulon to Montpellier, already announced as well, not keeping Andre Pollard. So look, the organization, I think, like you said, Benji, it's gone from being 6 months out, almost like a Bosman ruling in football, where you start to look at contracts and negotiations and plan for next season, to now the importance on getting your squad right, getting the right people into your team is 2 years in advance. And it's absolute mayhem, because now you can't keep anything quiet. Agents are all in the mix. Everything gets leaked to the press to try and negotiate the better deal for each player. And it's just a merry-go-round. The carousel's already started after 4, 5, 6 games. Players have already announced they're leaving, which isn't easy for the rest of the squad when your best players leave. But that now is the reality of professional rugby. These guys hold a premium, hold a currency, and they're in demand.
Johnny mentioned one there, Benji. You know him very well. Morgan Parra. Can you see him leaving Clermont?
Yeah, but he's at his end of contract. So Camille Lopez was a bit more surprising, to be honest. Even though it's not completely certain, he asked to leave basically. But after the whole Franck Azema going to Montpellier, the club saying yes, the club saying no, in the end they're completely they've gone nowhere. Technically, Franck Azema is still employed. They're going to have to either go to court or find a settlement, but nobody wants to back down. Camille Lopez, you can sort of you can hear what he's got to say. He's got a young family. He's got 3 children. His boys were the same age as my girls, and they're proud and born and raised, in Biarritz. And after leaving sort of Molion, where he's from, down in the Pays Basque, they went to Bordeaux. After Bordeaux, then he came to Clermont. That was already a fair few years ago. So there's the idea of raising your children somewhere that you belong, which is very cute and very heartfelt, and obviously very, very valuable, and you can only respect that. But then asking in the middle, I think they would seriously put Clermont in a bit of problem. I do think that with the problem Morgan Parra is that he had a huge contract for Clermont, well deserved. He was the absolute superstar, and then obviously Sébastien Bézy rocking up, Craig Laidlaw. There was a bit of a fracture with Franck Azema at the time. It's been complicated with Morgan. He's a complicated bloke, but it's been complicated for a year or two. And I think that basically Morgan clearly not being the club next year is only one more push for Camille Lopez to overthink it, because they've been partnering up together and they're obviously super mega close. You can add that with Alexandre Lapendrie not playing this season and being side benched and stuff for medical reasons. So all those the three musketeers, not being able to be together. It's one of those crazy things that sometimes you realize that rugby boys are still mates. They still want to play with people they love, and that sometimes it matters.
When you mentioned the struggles that Toulon are having, Johnny, Freddie Michalak, is he joining the coaching staff there at the end of the year?
So again, I'm not sure how much is legit. Bernard Lemaitre, the president of the club, who's been really vocal in his criticism of the players, threatening to dock their salaries, and of Patrice Collazo, publicly stating he's got the next 2 games in charge of the club to decide what he wants to do with his future, and then sort of announced that Michalak's going to come in and fit into the staff once his duties in Australia are up. But again, look, it's just so a little bit knee-jerk, but there is that pressure in France. It's you're not in the United Rugby Championship, you're not in Super Rugby. There is relegation. The threat of that is real, and the pressure to perform with these budgets is real. And that's it. Toulon haven't delivered. They've looked shaky, but like, you look at the context, they couldn't do preseason. They had so many players away on international duty and injuries and sevens competitions. They had to cancel their preseason games. So they're still catching up and still trying to settle. And they've got quality, undoubtedly. So look, Michalak has been announced by the president. He'll be coming in and fitting into the staff. Will he be the solution? I'm not sure, but they just don't look settled. They don't look happy. And it hasn't been a great start to them, as it hasn't been for a few other sides, big sides as well so far this season.
I was going to say, Benji, not under threat for their job, obviously, but Ronan O'Gara, tough start in the top role at La Rochelle, and a man John O'Gibbs at Clermont, not the best start for him either.
Yeah, it's been complicated. I don't think you can sum it up to the coaches' changes. La Rochelle, obviously, big boots to fill. They were runners up and they did extraordinarily well last year. But trust me, I've been in those shoes. It's a complicated one to get back up from. When you give everything, you get absolutely zero biscuit at the end. It's the worst position ever. Obviously, they're going to miss John O'Gibbs for his accuracy and his forwards momentum. But if they decide to part ways, it's because Ronan O'Gara wanted to take a full lead. So obviously it might take a while for him to completely develop into that role. I just think that for John O'Gibbs at Clermont, I do feel, and obviously I'm completely biased, but I do feel that they're getting better week in, week out. They had a very, very strong performance in Toulouse, but Toulouse are just that little bit better, too good at the moment. They have a few injuries that are causing them issues. They should have won at the weekend against Stade Francais, but Lavanini, who countered the kick with his face, basically was pretty much knocked out and then dropped it on the line after getting melted by Kremer. I don't know if you saw RG against RG. One of the biggest hits I've seen in a long, long time. Because Lavanini, for him to go backwards 10 meters, you need to get there early. But so, yeah, no, Jono, I just feel from the inside that I've got from the boys, a very different environment. Clermont were very much start right from the get-go. So huge preseason, got that really, really fit, but sometimes run out of gas towards the middle. And on top of Jono Gibbs, he came with a head of performance guy, sort of head of SNC, but more than that. Apparently, he's almost as important as Jono. Like, he'll be timing everything. He's the one dictating the tempo. He's almost the one dictating not the drills, but the actual content, the workload. which has become key. And apparently from the get-go, they said, listen, stuff September. There's no point peaking in September. We want you to peak at another time of the season. So get good, get there. And actually preseason wasn't that crazy. So the boys are building. The boys know where they're going. And I think it might take a little bit of time also, but they're on the right track.
Benji, does Jono look after the lineouts?
Yeah.
So that's the one bit for me. Like you can see, like, commentating their game for Premier Sports the weekend, he is on the touchline, pulling what hair he has left out, because against Racing 2 weeks ago, they lost 10. They would have won at Toulouse 4 or 5 rounds ago if the lineout had functioned. And again, at the weekend, they just don't get that platform. So I'm not sure if it is the fact they're missing Lapandry as a leader. Archer Churi has just come back into the side, but like to me, in terms of a team, they function. Like their phase play stuff's awesome. They defend really well. They're aggressive. Just if they get their set piece sorted, they'll fly. Absolutely. And La Rochelle, to go back to your point, Tim, like they lost the first home game at home to Toulouse. And that's the difference, that when you go through 6 rounds, if you lose a game at home, it makes a drastic difference on the table. And that's where this pressure comes on straight from the get-go. If you lose 1 game at home or 2 games at home, you're under the cosh. And that's just the way it is. But La Rochelle have played well. They look comfortable. They look settled. They look like good systems. I'm not worried for them or for Clermont. Clermont just need to get the line out sorted. But that's it. That's the crazy thing. The crazy thing with the top 14 is you lose 2-3 games, you find yourself at the bottom of the top 14. Stade Francais with the biggest budget in the top 14, currently sitting bottom. It's just crazy.
And Johnny, you mentioned you were in Paris for that game, that Stade Francais Clermont game on Premier Sports. Yeah. Did you see Antoine Bourbon removing some sort of giant moth or some sort of animal from the pitch? He's doing the rounds on social media.
Mate,
I don't know what it was.
It looked like a bat. It was that big. We didn't even know what to say in commentary. We're just like, unbelievable. I'd never seen a moth that size, or what it was trying to eat in a rugby stadium. I have no idea, but fair play to Bourbon for running over and picking that thing up. I'd been running a mile in the other direction. It was huge. I did see it. Horrible.
It was crazy. I didn't know what it was. Any examples from either of you two playing with animals on the pitch? Anything in your careers? No dogs, no cats, no rabbits.
Joe Tekori. That's about it, mate. That's scary enough, I'm telling you.
Right, we're a bit late with this first episode of the second season, so it's kind of cheating a little bit. But let's get your predictions in for who you think is going to finish in the top 6 at the end of this season, and who's getting relegated as well. Oof. Who are you going for? Oof. Some big teams missed out last season, and they're going to again. So,
yeah. Well, let's just start this way. Who's definitely going to be in top 6? I think Toulouse, La Rochelle, Racing, Clermont. And after that, it gets very complicated. Bordeaux, and Lyon. All right, there you go. I've got them. And then there's always in between. Castres, you just never know how good they do. Montpellier, you just never know how good they do. Stade Francais, can they bounce back?
No. My 2 wild cards are the same. So I had the exact same top 6, Benji. My 2 wild cards were Montpellier and Castres, because I think Montpellier actually look organized for the first time, and everyone hates going to Castres and playing in Castres, and everyone loses in Castres, so they'll be there or thereabouts. They're specialists of sneaking in and getting that 6th spot. So I'm worried about Clermont as well. I said the same thing last year, and then they ended up getting in there, but just don't look settled yet. But I reckon, like you said, they're not peaking yet. They'll peak in a couple of months' time, probably at the right end of the season, and they'll come good.
And who's finishing bottom and 13th?
So Pau went to Perpignan last weekend, got a red card after 5 minutes, and ended up sticking 30-40 points on Perpignan. That was a massive win. So Pau, in terms of direct concurrence, if that's a word in English, and head-to-heads, that was a big one to win away to Perpignan. But again, you look at the depth. Biarritz have lost twice at home already, and you look at their first string, their first team with Kurandrani, with Steph Armitage, you just worry, like if they pick up 1 or 2 injuries in key positions, it's going to be a slog. They've already lost 2 hookers, 2 really, really good hookers as well, and brought in 1 medical joker. So you think, just on paper, with the squads they've got, it's going to be hard for Perpignan and Biarritz.
Yeah, Perpignan Biarritz definitely gonna struggle a bit. I'm always very worried about my mate Thomas Domingo's team, Pau. You just never know where they're going to go. They've got the quality, they got set up, they got everything, but this cutthroat top 14 just doesn't allow you to win 1, lose 1 for the whole season.
No,
you need to be consistent. You need to start building momentum, because everybody can beat anybody any day. They won't be in Agen like last year, who poor things are struggling now in Pro D2. I think this whole club is in shambles. But tough one to answer. But I agree with Johnny. He said a couple of teams are going to struggle with them. Then obviously it's this sort of, you can start seeing a little bit of clarity in February, March or something.
And another news, the 2023 World Cup in France. France are going to be playing Uruguay, aren't they? Big win for them at the weekend. So we're looking forward to that already.
Yeah, it's quite exciting, to be honest. In 2019, we were doing I did the commentary of the non-French sort of games for TF1 with François Trio, and we had a lot of fun. And we commentated Fiji-Uruguay. And everybody's like, Fiji-Uruguay.
It was a huge game.
That's going to be... It was a proper game of rugby.
Amazing.
And it was the first ever historic win of Uruguay against Fiji. Fiji did not play well, don't get me wrong. But Uruguay played with a heart that's big like a house. And they put absolutely everything in it. If you like Argentina, you will love Uruguay. They're probably not as skillful, but they were Argentina 25 years ago or something like that, without the professionalism. But they play with so much passion, so much Uruguayan passion. You can't mistake it with anything else. That it's going to be another event that's extraordinary. So no, I'm chuffed. I love those confrontations. I think they're healthy. They're a breath of fresh air. And these boys will go absolutely hard at it.
Can't wait for that. And it's great to be back. Looking forward to the second season. Hey, we started with a bang. No?
Looking forward to mate. Looking forward to it. Great to be back, boys.
Thanks, Johnny. Thanks, Benji. And a big thanks to all you guys for listening as well. It's good to be back. And make sure you hit subscribe. Leave us a nice review too if you can. That always gives us a bit of a boost. Enjoy the top 14 on Premier Sports this season. And we'll be back with another episode next week. Au revoir, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers, fellas.